calling to say I
almost need to let that music hit. It's ominous. You know something's up. You know things are not going well when you hear that music. It's like you're watching a suspense thriller or a horror film, except the horror is real life for the UFC, and especially for Charles Oliveira. If you haven't seen it yet on MMAWeekly.com, if you haven't seen it yet on our YouTube, you're hearing about it here live right now. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. Scott Peterson is in Phoenix at UFC 274, the owner of MMA Weekly, on hand. We have the video right there. We're going to play the video with sound in its entirety for you in just a couple of minutes. But real quick, I just want to let you know what's going on. Charles Oliveira stepped on the scale. A little bit late this morning, he stepped on the scale, right? He misses weight by half a pound. Now, championship weight is dead on. You don't get the half-pound allotment. You guys know championship weight is championship weight. You make the damn weight. That's what the title belt is. That's what the weight is. Make the weight, right? And that's what everyone had done until Charles Oliveira today. So Charles Oliveira misses weight by a half a pound. He has an hour, 1 hour, right, to lose that half pound. In that hour, he couldn't lose the half pound. So he weighs in again. Some people are saying the scale was heavy, and if that's true, that's inexcusable. Charles Oliveira missed it again. So what happens? Here I am to tell you. Stripped of the belt immediately. Boom, gone. No more champion Charles Oliveira. The incredible Cinderella story, all those losses, the new weight class, the comeback, everything he did against Chandler, against Poirier, it now has a black mark on it. He's stripped of the title for missing weight. The belt is vacant. The fight goes on, Scott Peterson. Justin Gaethje wins. He's the champ. Oliveira wins. The 55-pound belt is vacant. Probably the most talent-rich division, especially at the top in the UFC, although welterweight and featherweight are getting... But when you look at this division and you look at all those fighters in there and you look at what Oliveira was on the verge of, maybe, of a title run, like what he's been maybe putting together, this is a big thing. I don't remember a champion missing weight for a title fight ever in UFC history. Do you remember anything like that?
No, I do not. This was it was crazy. It was crazy, the anticipation. I don't think any of us thought he wouldn't make it. Big surprise, and I don't know. I don't know what this does to Charles. It definitely can't be adding to his ability to beat Gaethje tomorrow. And I'm thinking that, you know, if you're Gaethje, does it mess with you or does it give you more confidence? I don't know. He has everything to win. Charles has, he's lost everything already.
He's lost everything. And so where is his motivation? Dustin Poirier put it on social media. He said, I wonder about Charles' mentality now. And he had Charles winning before this. And Charles has taken big shots from Poirier, big shots from Chandler in the first rounds of their title fights, come back and won both those fights in dramatic, impressive fashion. His heart is huge. The story, the comeback, everything. But think about this, Scott. The UFC doesn't really lose that much here. It's still a title fight, kind of, right? They spin it that way. They can't lose a title fight the day before. That's a big thing. So for Oliveira, though, we were talking about this earlier. Champions get paid differently than what non-champions get paid. Champions also get additional money that non-champions don't get unless their name's McGregor or Diaz or something like that. So he's going to miss out, you would think, on the pay-per-view money because he's not a champion anymore, and on that purse of being a champion. Plus, I think you get more from Venom if you're a champion. I mean, everybody pays you more for your fight when you're a champion, right? So the question is, I mean, it's not the biggest question right now, but how much did he just cost himself? How much is he thinking about that? How the hell do you keep his mind right if you're his team, if you're his manager, if you're his coaches, if you're his friends, if anybody? How do you keep him focused? How do you go into a fight? Anthony Pettis did it years ago against Holloway in Toronto, I believe, but that was for a vacant belt, even though this belt's technically vacant now. A champion being stripped the day before the fight, it's demoralizing, it's humiliating, it's the whole world's talking about it and not in a good way. It's just a whole mess of ugly. And I don't know if Charles Oliveira can overcome that mentally in time to fight Justin Gaethje. I don't think it changes for Gaethje. Look, the same thing applies for Justin Gaethje, Scott, right? Mm-hmm. You beat Oliveira, you're the champ. Period. End of story. Doesn't matter. You win, you're the champ. Nothing changes for Justin Gaethje. For Oliveira, it's a whole different ballgame. And I know personally, because I've had mental struggles my whole life with stuff like this, when things come up, it's not easy. And this is a big one. So how he responds, we'll see. I mean, but this is, man, I mean, someone's head's going to roll for this. A half a pound on the day before the fights, and he can't lose it in an hour? That's crazy.
Yeah, and I wonder how it's just not what happened this morning. The lead up to this was this an issue coming into fight week? Did he know he was going to lose it? I mean, but you know, a half a pound, you know, you can still fight. It's no problem if it's not the championship fight. But has his head been right the whole week? I don't know. Some other things that's been talked about backstage is that there was possibly the scale. People were complaining about the scale being off backstage. Not the official scale that the fighters use, but the one that they kind of test to see where they're at as they come up to step on the weight. So if that, because I heard some rumbling that it was maybe even off by a full pound. The guys were, that the scale they were testing their weight on was off. So
wow, if that's the case. That I've worked with the Arizona Boxing and MMA Commission for years and years, and they're usually pretty good. They're usually on their game. This isn't Texas. This isn't New York. This is a state that's been hosting these kind of events for a long time. And if that's the case, man, that is inexcusable. Without a doubt, that's inexcusable. And you can't give Oliveira, though, any provisions for that, though, right? I mean, this is all speculative on my part, Scott. I don't know, but I know the official weigh-in's the official weigh-in. It doesn't matter what the test scale says. That much I know. And if you're a half pound off and you think there's anything wrong with the scale, you request a scale that's calibrated. I mean, I'm sure it was happening so fast. It's easy for me to say. But for his team, for Oliveira, for no one on his team, for no one to pick up on this, for no one to try to figure this out and fix it for him, if it was because of a heavy scale, I'm incredulous. That is, to me, I can't even, mind blown,
Yeah, and but for the fact that he was the very last fighter to weigh in too, so it's hard to say
both times, right?
That was because Norma. She said she wasn't coming back after she missed weight. She was all not, and she lost 30% of her purse. That's another whole thing to talk about, is what is Oliveira losing when you think of everything that takes place as a champion, of how he makes his money. But yeah, he weighed in last, so he knew he was on the edge. And the question, like I said before, is when did he know this? Did he know this at the beginning of fight week? Did he know this on media day just last night? So if he had came in and weighed in at the very beginning and it was a big surprise, then it'd be more like that maybe there was an issue with the scale. That's a legitimate thing.
Well, where's Hunter? We need Hunter. Let's go run him down right now. Hunter Campbell. Let's go get him, man. Come on, Hunter. Where are you? But I seriously, you talked about the way that he makes his money. Now, the sponsors will be happy. Dana White's probably happy because this is trending. The event's getting a whole hell of a lot more publicity right now off of something as mundane as the weigh-ins. And we talked about this earlier, Scott. Hey, should we do live during the weigh-ins? Nothing ever happens. One time in a million, something happens, and here we are on live. But when I think about this, and you talk about the way they get paid, the Venom deal, pay-per-view points, more of a purse because you're a champion, more of a cut of things. You get more sponsor money. There's a lot of stuff there. The sponsors will be happy because his name's in the headlines a million more times than it would have been if he hadn't missed weight. So with his name in the headlines like that, everything he's doing is being noticed, and he can give a little extra love to his sponsors on social media. I would think they'll be okay. But the pay-per-view money alone is huge. They don't disclose it. And the bonus money that he gets for being a champion and the extra purse. I mean, you get paid more on your contract if you're a champion. Some fighters have contracts that say, hey, if you have a belt at the time, you're making double than what you make if you don't have the belt. So this could really be catastrophic for him. He's fought for a long time. Hopefully he has some money, but he was just in the beginning stages, Scott, of what looked like it could be an incredible championship run, an incredible career turnaround for a guy who lost a whole bunch of fights and who had to change weight classes. I mean, this is what it's all about in athletics, the comeback story. You know, coming out of nowhere off the scrap heap, he's the champion of the world. Looks like he's putting together a murderer's row of opponents at 55, starting with Chandler and Poirier. And if he had beaten Gaethje, people were starting to talk, well, could he approach Khabib in the GOAT conversation, which is absurd because Khabib's not the GOAT anyway. He is at lightweight. But I think about this, and I think about Oliveira missing weight by a half a pound for a championship fight. And my number one reaction, I don't care how much money he's costing himself. He deserves it. You miss weight for a title fight as the champion, especially, but you miss weight for a title fight, you are not worthy. I'll say it again. You are not worthy of wearing the gold around your waist. You are not worthy of wearing that gold around your waist if you can't make weight for a title fight when you're the champion. So he should be stripped. Traced back to one person. It's his fault, unfortunately, and that's what it is. And if it's someone on his team, it's still his fault because it's his team. He's the fighter. So I sympathize a little bit, or how about this, Scott? I empathize. I don't know if I sympathize.
Right, and you know what's interesting is leading up to this fight, he said that he doesn't think of himself as retaining the belt or defending the belt. He always looks at himself as every time he goes into that ring, he's getting the belt each time. And I thought that was very interesting. And unfortunately, this time he goes in there, he won't. That will be something outside of his grasp.
I say that all the time. I say that all the time about the belt. The belt is vacant the minute that door closes. People say the champion, you should have to knock out the champion or finish him or win. No, you shouldn't. That belt's vacant when that door closes. So I like that approach. But man, I can't. And I asked you this earlier. I can't remember a champion being stripped the day before a title fight. I mean, you'd have to do some Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff, Ted Turner shit from the late 90s when they were jumping. And that's not even real fight. So when you think about a champion being stripped the day before, I mean, if someone leaves for another promotion, you think of the scenarios, but to be stripped for missing weight, I can't remember. I can't remember it happening in mixed martial arts, period, but definitely not the UFC.
No, I cannot recall a time that that's happened. And, since, he is a champion, let's talk about what is he missing. So you had, who else missed weight? Norma?
Yep.
Yeah, so she got 30% hefty price that she lost. But when you're champion, you got to look at, okay, sponsorship deals. And, okay, as a champion, your sponsors may be paying you a different amount of money as a said champion than if you're not the champion. So he could be losing not only money that the UFC has to decide, okay, how much of the purse is he going to lose? Sponsorship money is in play to be lost. You have, and pay-per-view points. Is he still going to retain pay-per-view points?
That could maybe be a seven-figure.
Yes.
That could be seven figures.
Yes. This is
more
insane.
Wow.
Look at him as he walks off. The stress that must have been. You could tell the guy was hollowed out up there on stage. I was wondering, geez, what else does he have to give? And he had nothing to give back. He was still an hour later, still 155.
Shave your head, do something. Shave your head. I don't know. I mean, I'm on the scale all the time at the gym, not like these guys, and I'm always so I don't even hold my iPhone because my iPhone's a pound. I mean, it's you just can't. I don't know these guys, and he didn't learn from DC. Push down on the towel, maybe a little bit there. Gamesmanship from the veteran Daniel Cormier, but I don't know. I know people think, oh, it's a half a pound, it's a half, and that's what it is in our sport. You get a half a pound allowance if you're not a champion or you're not in a title fight, I should say. So the title fights, you have to be dead on. You have to be right on weight. Everyone knows it. Every champion knows it. Every challenger knows it. It's always been in place that way. You don't get that half-pound allowance. A bunch of fighters on this card use the half-pound allowance, but they're not in title fights.
Yeah.
I'm confused at how can you not lose? I know how weight cutting works. You cut all the water out and all the fluid out of your body and you put it right back. I get it. But a half pound, Scott, you could almost find a half pound anywhere. It's an hour. You are a world champion. What kind of team does this guy have? What kind of team do you have that you can't lose a half pound in an hour? And I'm asking. I'm not throwing or casting aspersions. I'm asking. Because I know for a fact, if it was the guys I know at Neuroforce One, if it was a bunch of the other people who do this and help the fighters, that half pound wouldn't have been an issue. And I'm wondering why it was in an hour for Oliveira.
Yeah, it's I'm not in a place to say. I don't know. And I don't know where he's at and where he started. I think I don't know if it's fair to make those assumptions, but it's funny. Somebody in the chat room, Akira, says Tony Ferguson was jumping on the scale. He might have uncalibrated it.
He might have uncalibrated. Kukui was jumping on everything.
Should we take a quick look?
He was Kukui this week.
Let's take a quick look at.
Let's do it. Let's look at Tony. And by the way, thank you to Fredo. Fredo Hawkins, super chat.
Here we go. Let's see. Did Tony Ferguson screw up the main event card?
Are we gonna literally change the whole thing on MMA Weekly and submit? This is the
this is the
Magruder film.
Here's some conspiratorial shit here.
Is it the Magruder? Isn't that it? The Magruder
now watch
film?
Watch here. Oh,
wait.
He did it. Did you see that? Hey, look.
Where's it at? Oh, the
no, wait, right here.
Captures it all.
Was that enough to uncalibrate it?
And of course, Kukui lost to both these guys while doing the UFC a favor with Khabib retiring and fighting Gaethje. And he was supposed to fight Khabib actually, and that fight ended up being because of COVID. It was supposed to be in Brooklyn. They had the press conference at the Izzy Romero fight in March in Vegas, right before they shut Vegas down. You and I were there together. And then they were that was the one where I asked that question and it went viral. Oh, you cannot fight in street. I eat you in street fight. That one. And then when that fight fell through and Khabib couldn't travel, you remember he was overseas. He couldn't come to the U.S. at that point. Couldn't get in. So they had to do something for an interim fight. And there's Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson. So Ferguson very easily could have said, no, I'm not fighting Gaethje. I'm waiting for Khabib. And that would have been the right move career-wise for Kukui because Gaethje put a beating on him. Oliveira beats him, and then Beneil Dariush, and 3 bad losses in a row for Tony Ferguson. So this is the revenge of Kukui. That's my point. Kukui goes Kukui and there's the headline, clickbait. Kukui goes Kukui, destroys scale at UFC 274, causes champ to miss weight and title fight to be all messed up.
And possibly
Kukui's
7
revenge.
Figures.
Kukui's revenge.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Wow.
just sad, but it's crazy how things like this turn out to be bring a lot of attention. And
this
who
is
knows?
why you never know what's going to happen, right? You always have to be there.
But boy, look at Gaethje there. Look how hydrated he looks. Good. He doesn't look washed out. You can look at his face and compare it. Look at his cheeks there.
Yeah, emaciated is the word.
Yeah, it's just.
Like send money for food. $1 a month can feed 10 children. That's what he looks like. And I always wonder, how do you feed 10 children for 30 days on $1? I'd love to know that because I have 3 and I can't feed them on $500 a month. So,
well, yeah. Unfortunately, most of these nonprofits, you're lucky if 5 to 10% make its way to the people.
But look at that.
To be for.
No, and you're right. And I'm looking at the YouTube channel right now, and it was Gaethje. Now it's Oliveira. It's it's wow.
What's Gaethje thinking right now? What's going on in his head? I mean, it has to be a roller coaster as he's thinking, did I just train for months for a fight that's not going to happen, and the dream of my shot of getting the title is not going to happen? In that 1 hour. And now it's like, okay, everything's good for me. I mean, how much of a roller coaster is that thinking he may not fight?
It depends.
It's like so he has everything to gain. Everything to gain, nothing to lose.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I wonder because I've known Justin a long time. First of all, he's bigger than me when I interview him, and he fights at 55, and he doesn't look super dehydrated when he weighs in. So I think I got a lot more weight to lose. But second of all, when I look at Gaethje, I wonder if he's the type of dude who sits there on his phone while he's waiting. If he's not, if I'm his team, I shut everything off as soon as I hear. I don't let him know. Until I know for sure, I don't let him know. And then I go to him after and I say, all right, he missed weight. Nothing's changed on your end. You beat him. You're the champ. And that's the way you have to. I mean, Justin Gaethje's a veteran, man. He's been around so long. He's got his head screwed on 100% straight, as far as I know in life. You never know 100%. But I've known him for years. I've been around him a lot, and I know the mentality and the mindset that he has. I believe that Justin Gaethje is thinking, as he should be, look, nothing's changed. I beat this guy. I'm the champ, period, point blank. And you're in your home state, which is a lot of pressure. You got this happening. He fought like a beast against Poirier in Glendale, Arizona a few years ago. That was a great fight. He ended up losing. But of the black and gold. So now they have to make him new. They have, if he doesn't have old ones around or they don't have any old, they have to make him new a new fighter kit too, because he can't go in with the black and gold.
Yeah, look at them as they face off here.
Yeah,
you know, he was even pretty sunken in yesterday. But you know, he's the guy. He has high. You know.
How the hell did he cut to featherweight?
Yeah. Hey, sorry about that. Are you there? I can't hear you. Jim, I think you are on mute. Jim? Jim cannot hear you. Are you there? Jim? Sorry guys, we are having technical difficulties here in the press room at the UFC. We've been having issues with the internet pretty much all week out of this hotel.
155, the official weight for Justin Gaethje. All right, next athlete today is the man around whom this fight card was built, the undisputed UFC lightweight champion, Charles Oliveira.
The man around whom this card was built. Ouch, little extra pressure there. This is MMA Weekly Live. Charles Oliveira missed weight for his title fight against Justin Gaethje. He's been stripped. This is our exclusive video from MMAWeekly.com. Check it out.
156. 56? Got me 55. Got me 55. Get the top
one. He would get that 1 pound allowance if it wasn't a title fight.
155 and a half.
There's the second attempt.
Well, that's the first attempt.
Well, the first attempt, the second.
For Charles Oliveira.
He stripped everything off and they put the box around him. So that was the second attempt, first try.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and then the third one, yep, will come up.
And here he comes.
Great job on the video, Scott. Here he is. He looks confused, throwing his arms up in the air, not knowing what to do.
Charles will have 1 hour to cut the final half pound.
Okay, he had to get those pictures there. Then he comes back. Let's see his facial expression. See if he knew it. Does he know it going on the scale? And is it a Kukui conspiracy? That's the question. Did Tony Ferguson jumping on the scale? I don't know. Did putting his arms up affect anything? I mean, who knows? Lift up your big toe, for God's sake. I mean, come on. It's a half a pound. So you got to do, if you want tricks on losing weight, you got to ask a female. 155.5. Wow.
Jeez.
Look at his face. Look at his face, man. I mean, you do feel bad for him, right? I mean, no excuses. It's his fault. But, man, looking at his face there, that sucks.
UFC representative's going to come out soon, and then he'll explain exactly what's going to go down.
Okay, here's an update, folks, just for the record. The fight is still on, and the title is currently vacant. If Charles wins the fight tomorrow night, he will win the fight, but the belt will be vacant. If Justin Gaethje wins the fight tomorrow night, he will win the championship.
So a great video, Scott Peterson. Again, find that on MMAWeekly.com. Why did that? Someone has to teach that guy. They have to train him not to stand directly in front of where the host's head goes. But I forgot, we're full screen for the entire show. But I can't, I mean, Justin Gaethje had the interim belt and he threw it on the ground and he said, it's not the real one. Remember when he beat Ferguson?
Yeah.
And Rogan goes, why'd you take it off and throw it down? He told him. And then now he's going to win this belt if he wins. And I've had Gaethje winning the whole time. And I've said this, and Jeff and I will be live tomorrow night during the fights on MMA Weekly. You don't want to miss that. Jeff's going to have some fun things to say about this. If we can get him away from the computer, it's a busy boxing night too, with the Canelo fight in Vegas for Cinco de Drinko. I don't mean to offend anybody by that, but it pretty much is Cinco. That's all anyone does on Cinco de Mayo is drink. So when you look at, except me, Scott, I didn't. But
really?
When you look at, you got Canelo in Vegas. You got all these things going on. Jeff Kane's probably ripping that gorgeous head of hair out right now. But, man, I know he's got some opinions on Do Bronx. And I've thought all along that Gaethje was going to knock him out in the first round. And the reason why is simple. Poirier hit him a bunch of times. Chandler hit him a bunch of times, both of them in the first round. He got up, came back and won. And no disrespect to Chandler and no disrespect to Poirier. Believe me when I say that. They're two of the best in the world. But they do not hit anywhere near as hard as Justin Gaethje. So I believe if Oliveira gets hit, or when Oliveira gets hit, especially now, he's toast. I say he doesn't make it past 3 minutes with Justin Gaethje, with everything going on. Now, he could prove me wrong, but I had him losing anyway, and I had Gaethje winning the belt. But Gaethje got the interim belt. that was a result of Khabib not being able to travel. And then if he wins the regular belt this way, it's like, man, you know, it's just, I mean, look, that's a, you know, I mean, that's interesting scenarios involving Justin Gaethje and the lightweight title in the UFC for sure. Look at those two guys facing off. Live on MMA Weekly here. We got a pretty good audience watching. We got people in the chat. We got Fredo giving us the super chat. Vince couldn't write a better script. I don't know, Fredo. You've seen Vince's script. I mean, Tyson Fury getting up at 9 like The Undertaker, and he shot straight up at 8.5, 9 against Wilder. That looked like a Vince script. But, you know, you got a point. Maybe Vince couldn't write a better script. I mean, what if Oliveira just like picked up the scale and threw it at someone? I mean, that would be WWE. But I mean, how does Charles Oliveira, Scott, in all seriousness, and I don't have an answer to this question because I've never been a championship fighter. I've never competed in a professional fighting event or an amateur one for that matter. Well, you fights grown up or amateur. But when I think about how on God's green earth, you got to be mentally the toughest guy on the planet to overcome something like this. How do you not lose your mind and completely fall apart? Because you have to win that fight tomorrow night to survive in this division if you're Oliveira now, Scott. He went from being a champion where people were maybe comparing him to Khabib and saying Khabib should come back and fight him because he'll beat everybody else. People were talking like that this week about Oliveira for the first time. Even me, who said he wasn't a legit champion when he beat Chandler, and I didn't believe he was till he beat Poirier. But you don't win this fight tomorrow night, you're miles away from another title shot. Miles. They're not just going to give you another one. I mean, you're going to have to earn that back with 2, 3, maybe 4 wins, depending upon the division. You got a line of guys. You got McGregor out there probably laughing. Yeah, I mean, he's going to have something to say. But Oliveira's got to right the ship and fast mentally, because if he doesn't, it's this disaster is going to get a lot worse.
Well, we got Mr. Hyde here. I was asking, was he full-on stripped, or did they create another interim belt for him?
It's full on stripped, right?
Yep, full on stripped.
Full on stripped. We got a lot of comments.
No interim belt.
My monitor's about 3 feet away from my eyes, and I'm having trouble reading it. Good luck. Welcome to 50, Jim. Here we go. Okay.
Well, guys, I got a cruise.
Okay,
I gotta go grab some quick food, and then everybody will have the live stream at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time of the ceremonial, and this will be interesting, won't it, Jim? I want to see these two guys. I want to see what this face-off is like, and that's going to be in about an hour or 2 hours, about a little less than 2 hours. We're going to see these guys face off.
And you know they're going to ask him. Joe's going to ask him, Justin, what do you think of him missing weight? And he's going to say, I don't give a shit if he was 100 pounds overweight. I'm going to knock him out and win the belt because nothing changes for me. And we'll see. I believe Gaethje's fine. I don't think this is going to affect him at all, not one bit. I believe it really hurts Oliveira. I mean, it really messes with your mindset. And you know how much athletes put on the weight cut and their mindset. Everything's down not only to the day, to the hour, to the minute leading up to a championship fight, especially Scott. And that just got completely thrown off by the extra hour. Every part of his schedule is off. Every part of his plan is off. His mindset has got to be completely just scrambled eggs right now. So how much of a champion are you on the inside, Charles Oliveira? How much do you have in here? We're going to find out. We're going to find out. And I believe he's got it, but I don't think it's going to matter. But I can't wait for tomorrow night, Scott. I can't wait to be on live with Jeff Kane. I can't wait to be witness to this. plug here. It's not my place to do it anyway, but if you're ready, we can just wrap this up and call it till tomorrow. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out. Scott's got reels coming up. We got a TikTok now with MMA Weekly. And of course, just like and follow and subscribe and keep watching this content. Tomorrow night, we're live for the fights. UFC 274, Grease and Kane on MMA Weekly, the largest independently owned website covering combat sports in the world, right here on MMA Weekly. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. What a fun Friday it's been. We get to hop on live. Thanks to you all for being here. Thanks, Fredo, for the super chat. We will talk to you tomorrow, fight fans. Keep your game tight and your mind right. You know what I'm going to say next. Out.